Welcome. Now I'd like to introduce you to the very powerful custom yoga builder, where you can create almost any kind of yoga you can imagine. This is probably, I'm sure it's unique to Shri Jyoti style. Other software have very simple versions of this, but this version is extremely evolved over many years of work and has been greatly enhanced in version 10. So one way of getting to it is just to click the yoga button here. And here's the interface. So here you see the last thing I created was the Gajikeshari yoga. And you see it says Jupiter in an angle has the own sign or greater from the moon. This is quite a sophisticated yoga that's been created in a single rule. And how did we do that? Now if we click on this, it kind of loads up the planets here. So we say Jupiter is the primary consideration, A, and the secondary one is Moon. And then it doesn't matter which way around they are for this yoga. And then we say item A, which is Jupiter, is going to be in a particular house group from C. So here's the angle. And then if we said in any condition, we get all the Gajikeshari yogas, but we can also specify some additional conditions, mainly to do with different states, sign states and strength. So I'd selected own sign or greater here, and it produced the rule here. Now let's try doing something a little more complicated. We'll create a new yoga. So down here, these 4 buttons are to do with the complete yoga. So once we create a yoga, we can search the database and create a new yoga. We can save the yoga, but when you search the database, it'll automatically save, and you can delete the yoga. And these buttons here are for working with the various lines of the rule. So let me show you. So we'll start with a new yoga, and we'll go with Viparit Raja Yoga. Now Viparit Raja Yoga is the lord of a difficult house in a difficult house. So first let's select the lord of the 6th. And then we want to have in a house group, and we're going to go with difficult. So the 2 groups of difficult, 6, 8, 12, or 3, 6, 8, and 12. So we're going to go with 6, 8, and 12. And then we have in any condition, that'll be fine. So Lord of 6 in a difficult 6, 8, or 12 house. Now we're going to say or. And we're going to have the Lord of 8. And then we just click here again. Lord of 8 in a difficult house. And we can click or. And then we'll say Lord of 12. So we've created this yoga. It was very easy. And then we click search database. There's quite a few people with this yoga. It's a common yoga. Okay, now suppose you were wanting to make a report out of this. See, we started off with this. And if we contract this, we can see where we can put in a description of the yoga, and we can write our interpretation of the yoga. So this would be Lord of a difficult house in a difficult house. And then here we would say about how it created a Raja Yoga out of adversity. In the face of some setbacks, the person succeeded. So, Abraham Lincoln is rather classic example for this. So we see that we have the moon. See the moon? It says moon here, and we're using it with reference to the ascendant. So the moon, the lord of the 6, is in the 12th house. Okay, so let's just show something else here. Now let's suppose we wanted to move faster. We're doing something repetitive like this. So let's delete some of these lines. You can do that pressing the delete line button, or you can press the delete key on the keyboard. So now we've created the first 2 lines, and we want to repeat that a couple of times. So we can right click on top of this box and we say copy yoga. Now the whole yoga, including the descriptions, interpretations, the name, everything has been copied. So if we wanted to create a separate yoga that's similar with some small alterations, we just say append complete yoga, and then it'll be added to the end of the yoga list, because what we're doing is creating we will in the course of time create multiple yogas in this file here, which we can use for reports. But in this case, we're just going to paste the yoga rules to this yoga. So you see the same thing has been repeated here. And then we can just click on here and change Lord of 6 to Lord of 8. And then we click update. See, update. This updates everything that's been changed over here. So we now have Lord of 8. And then we can do it again, paste. And then we can change this to Lord of 12. And update. And delete the final or. And we've got the same yoga. So in this case, it really didn't save a lot of time, but in some situations it can really save a lot of time. So this is a wonderful new development in this version 10 here. Now suppose we wanted a situation where these situations are true, but we want someone who has a strong ascendant. So we're going to have these ors, but then for all of them we want to have a rule that has some kind of so let's say the ascendant lord should be in its own sign or greater. So what we want to do is put some brackets around this. So we're just going to click up here, and here it says start grouping. Now it's going to appear in the wrong place because it's always going to appear after the one we selected, but we just drag and drop, and there it's in the right place. And then we click down here and end grouping. Now anything we put after this is either or something or and something, and is automatic. So what we can do here is we can say Lord of the First, because after all, if a Raja Yoga is really going to function, there must be some strength in the ascendant, and the strength will come in many ways, but we're just going to do something simple here. So we say the Lord of the First, which is now item A, is in strength, and we'll say own sign or greater. We don't need that. So search database, we have a few. So let's see, Agatha Christie. So in this case we have the Lord of the 8th, Jupiter, is in the 6th house, and the ascendant Lord, which is the Sun, is in its own sign. So this is how it works, and it's very, very easy and simple and fast, and there are lots and lots of choices. I mean, we've only touched on a few things, but inside of all these choices here, there's so many things you can do, so many yogas you can define. Here there it says number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. These are all things you can set. So for example, here in states, we could say aspected by number 4 planets. So we could say 4 plus. So if we put in, say, 2 here, then it will check to see that if the item we've chosen is aspected by at least 2 planets. Or you can have aspected by benefic planets. So we say we want to say it's aspected by at least 2 or more benefic planets. So let's say we're going to say the ascendant here, which is item A. And there's many ways you can do it. So we say here, we're going to say the ascendant, which is going to be in a state. We're going to have a state here. Of the sign state and a state. So we want to say it's aspected, conjunct or aspected, we can say, by at least 2 benefics. So this is number 4. So we make this 2 here. And then we click here. And we'll see conjunct or aspected by 2 or more benefics. So let's take out this. Well, we can leave that in. See if we get anybody. Yes, we got Carl Jung. So in his case, so the ascendant has to be aspected. So how is it aspected? Is it the ascendant conjunct or aspected by 2 plus benefics? Now the definition of aspect is set in this options here. So you can define, what house system you're using, what type of aspect you're using, and what the threshold for that aspect is. So if you choose precise Parashari aspects, then sometimes you get an aspect you're not expecting because it's not a whole sign aspect. It's based on the actual aspect. So we switch this to a whole sign and apply the changes. So let's try this again. Nothing came up. So you see that particular adjustment meant that Carl Jung's chart didn't qualify. Maybe we'd get rid of one of these conditions and try it again. Yeah, okay, let's try Bob Dylan. Now you see it's Scorpio and it's aspected by Jupiter and Venus. So that's, which is, good. So you see Mars is not in a particularly, it's not in a own sign or greater, but the benefic aspect is there on the ascendant. So, the different rules, that's how they work. And you can see, there's a tremendous amount of possibility. And down here we have various other things. You see, for example, the ruler of A. So you can say the ruler of something, whatever it is in various states, strengths, and so forth. Then you can have at least number 1 planet. So you could say we want 3 planets who are exalted, for example. Or you can have at most, you could say there should be not more than 1 debilitated planet in this chart. Or something like that. So many more complicated things can be defined, or sophisticated, we could say. Now there's another thing we can do. Suppose we say we want the second lord from the moon to be strong. Now we know this. The second house from the moon is to do with our, work, prosperity. So we'd like it to be strong, the Lord to be strong. So there are other ways of measuring. We could look at the actual Rashi, but let's just look at the Lord. So we'll say Lord of 2, and then with reference. Reference here means that this item A is computed with reference to this B. So we'll set this to moon. And let's clear all these lines here. Okay, so the Lord of the second from the moon should be in strength. We'll go with, let's try directional strength, see if we get anything. We don't need this one. So we got a few. So let's say we'll look at Karl Marx. So here's his moon in Aries. The second house is obviously Taurus, and Venus is in Taurus in its own sign, and with Digbala. So the Digbala is the thing that we were looking for. So you see how powerful this process is. So you can do it in any Varga chart. You see, you can set the Varga charts here. So the first one here is for the A and B. And the rest of the rule is determined by this. So you can say the Lord of the first in the Rashi, by leading us to Rashi, is exalted in the Navamsha chart by setting this to Navamsha. Or for, these sort of things are actually used a lot in Jyotish, and you can easily test for them. So you can get very creative with this. And whatever you do, you end up with a list, and you end up with the planets marked out. Here it shows is Venus. You see the chart. And you can even convert this list here into what's called the B group. Make B group from list. And then you can go back into the main working area of the chart, and you can put up the B list, and you can go click, click, click through the charts, seeing them in all the tables, graphs, charts, whatever you have to study them that you've set up. You can extremely easily study all these charts very quickly. It's very optimized, really. And I personally, it's like this because I use this, and it's extremely useful, if you're doing any kind of research, preparing for lectures, whatever you're doing. There's so many ways. Learning, it's a tremendous learning tool. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. This is, an initial look at the whole thing. We didn't look at, for example, some of these other things down here, which are to do with the Panchanga and certain yogas like Kala Sarapa and so forth. There's Nabhasa yogas. It's just about everything you can imagine somewhere in this. So feel bold to try it out. You can't create any problem. You just keep on clicking and keep trying, and see what you'll see. You'll quickly get used to it. Okay, thank you.